I'm a cardiologist, and today I'm going to explain two really simple things that could change your life. First, 5 foods that cause more heart attacks than cholesterol. Everyone talks about cholesterol, and a lot of people avoid it unnecessarily. Each food on this list is worse than the one before. Honestly, number 1 and number 2 will surprise you. I'd say they're the main culprits behind heart and blood vessel diseases. And the second thing I'll teach you is, I tell my patients this. I call it my golden rule, something I share in my office and wish everyone knew and passed on. It's a simple, easy tip that can literally change and improve your life. If you're the kind of person who wants to live better and take care of your health, then stick with me. Let's start with number 5, the sneaky group of zero-fat foods. Pay close attention to this sentence. When they take the fat out of a product, usually they replace the space. That was once filled with fat, with chemicals and sugar, so it doesn't feel like eating a piece of cardboard. These products have multiplied. And a lot of you probably think they're healthy because the food pyramid, which, by the way, was a big topic back in the 90s, said eating fat was bad and that we'd die if we did. Well, I want you to know that this old food pyramid, which has been talked about so much over the past 20 years, hasn't improved at all. Clearing throat, actually, there's way more obesity, diabetes, heart attacks, and other diseases because of this issue. Let me give you a clear example. That fat-free yogurt you buy, thinking it's healthy, is just a sugary dessert mixed with chemicals and no probiotics. In fact, we now know that the saturated fat in yogurt isn't as bad as we thought, and you should actually be eating a little, especially when you swap it out for sugar, like they do in those fat-free yogurts, because that sugar spikes your insulin and increases inflammation. That's the real enemy. These kinds of products have messed us up for a long time and played a big part in plaque building up in your arteries, which can then rupture and cause heart attacks. And the worst part is, a lot of people thought they were doing something good for themselves. But wait, because there actually is a fat that's toxic. In fact, it's been banned in many countries, and it's number 2 on the list I'm about to tell you. But first, speaking of deceptions, number 4 on this list is another mix-up by people who think that any way you consume fruit is good just because it's fruit and natural. I'm talking about freshly squeezed fruit juices. They're a problem because when you squeeze orange juice, how many oranges do you use? Think 3, 4, even 5, right? And what do you do with all the pulp? You throw it away. So basically, you're processing the fruit, taking out the fructose, and tossing the fiber. The thing is, fruit was made perfectly, which is why it has pulp. That's why you should eat the whole fruit. When you drink juice from 5 oranges without the pulp, you're taking in a ton of sugar without any control. Plus, a glass of orange juice won't fill you up. You'll still be hungry and end up eating bread or other typical breakfast foods, right? So, let's not even talk about the calories. You'll gain weight, overload your liver, pack fat around your belly, cause inflammation in your body, and damage your blood vessels. It's toxic for your heart. Want to have an orange juice every now and then? That's fine, but if you're drinking orange juice every day just because you heard it's healthy, know that it's not necessarily true. Now, let's talk about something controversial. Group number 3, salt. And I'm not going to be like everyone else and tell you to eat less salt. Instead, eat the amount of salt you actually need. Learn how much you need and how to get it. You've probably heard all kinds of things about this, like some people saying salt is essential for life and that you should eat a lot of it. Even drinking water with salt every day to really stay hydrated. People say if you don't do this, you'll get dehydrated. But then on the other side, some say salt kills you and is really bad for you. So, who's right? Here's the deal from a cardiologist's perspective. Sodium, which is part of table salt, is absolutely necessary to live. That's 100% true. We couldn't live without sodium. It's like water or food. However, the amount of sodium we actually need is about 4 grams per day. If you consume more than that much sodium ups your risk of high blood pressure and heart and blood vessel diseases. It's totally proven, guys, just as proven as the fact that we need water to live. The problem is, because of these trendy salty water drinks, with no real scientific backing, people end up consuming 2, 3, even 4 times the amount of sodium they actually need, like 5, 6, 7, 8 grams or more. And of course, that puts a huge strain on your kidneys and raises your blood pressure. Your cardiovascular system and heart get overloaded. It's not that sodium is bad, that's not true. In fact, if you drink 20 liters of water a day, that's bad for you. Even though water is essential for life, you need to understand the difference between sodium not being bad and eating 4, 5, or 6 grams of sodium being bad, and that it's false, that salty water is good for you. You don't need salty water. You need about 2 to 4 grams of sodium a day, which is about 5 grams of salt or a level teaspoon. And here, I have to admit that we, the doctors, we were part of the problem because for years we told you, don't put salt on your food, take the salt shaker off the table. But the problem isn't the salt shaker. Actually, this is shaker. You can't control how much salt you're using. You know exactly how much you're adding. The real problem is hidden salt, the kind found in all these processed foods you eat. Cold cuts, some cheeses, instant soups, sodas, breads, broths. That's where most of the salt is. In fact, 70% of sodium comes from that. Everything you consume comes from those places. So be very careful. That's where we need to focus. Not on the poor little salt shaker, where you just put a pinch on the table. That's not the problem. If you want to take care of your heart, you need to pay attention to what you eat and avoid products with hidden salt, even sodas that are sweet. You know, you can check the label for that. And now, the 2 foods that cause the most heart attacks, even more than cholesterol, because they cause inflammation, damage, and increase the bad stuff in your body. Number 2, oils, seed vegetables, sunflower, minho. You know that shiny clear oil you buy, the nice, easy to find kind? Well, to get that transparent golden color, they put the stuff through chemical treatments and a bunch of other processes. These oils are basically pure omega-6. And on top of that, when you burn or heat them up, they actually turn into toxins. Literally, it's not just a figure of speech. That gray or black smoke with the nasty smell you see when you burn or frying your food makes your body inflamed, damages the walls of your arteries, and causes cholesterol to stick and form plaques. These plaques can then break apart, leading to clots and heart attacks. Seriously, you should never, under any circumstances, fry your food. It's just not a good idea. You shouldn't cook that way. When you fry something, you need to know that at least 25% of the weight of your food is burnt oil. You're literally eating burnt oil. What you can do instead is saute your food with. Use just a tiny bit of oil like avocado oil or clarified butter so your food doesn't stick. But frying is never an option. Now, here's something you should know. Air fryers are all the rage. These gadgets don't actually fry. Nope, they use hot air to cook. They're really healthy, guys. They don't create any toxic compounds. And if you're skeptical, you'll be surprised because once you get the hang of cooking with them, the food turns out great. Really tasty. But wait, not all oil is bad. Virgin avocado oil and extra virgin olive oil are like liquid gold. They actually reduce inflammation in your body and boost your health. Of course, they should be used cold. You should add them at the end of cooking or in salads, and they're an amazing source of healthy fats. Now, for me, number 1 on the worst toxins list, people. In fact, many countries have already banned it. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about trans fats, which are, it's like a lab-made Frankenstein's monster, where they take good fats, mess with them by adding chemicals, and turn them into something bad. Why do they do this? Because now the fat is liquid, lasts for years, and can be spread into shelf products, basically plasticizing them. Or why do you think a product on the supermarket shelf lasts for months or even a year? Because they add this kind of stuff, among other things. Now, shelf products don't rot, but you know what does? Your body. It's kind of like chemically plasticizing products. They make products last longer, but they take years off your life. This isn't just a figure of speech. It's one of the worst killers you can eat. And it's in so many foods, guys. Cookies, snacks, bread, burgers, frozen pizzas. Some countries have already banned it, like I said, but others haven't yet. So be really careful because it can seriously make you sick. And now, the golden rule. What really works and what I always tell my patients. Want to know the secret to living longer, living better, and preventing diseases? It's super simple. Go back to eating foods without labels. If it has a huge list of ingredients, it's not real food. It's processed junk. 8 out of 10 heart and blood vessel diseases can be prevented. We're talking about 16 million deaths a year worldwide. Just stop putting your heart through hell every time you eat that stuff. Here's a simple and powerful piece of advice for you. Eat real food. Food that goes bad quickly. Eat it while it's fresh. That means it has no preservatives. A fruit spoils in 4 or 5 days because it doesn't have preservatives. That's good food. If a whole fruit with the skin goes bad fast, it means it's alive. Eat it while it's fresh. Eat plants, eat lean meats, especially fish or good cuts like I just told you. I just gave you the names of the main things that mess up your heart, that poison your heart. Now you can't say, I didn't know, doctor. Ignorance, like I always say, is bliss, but the knowledge you gain today comes with responsibility. Now that you know, you can tell your family, your friends, or share this video. If you want to keep your heart healthy, start today. What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen on a label? And what's the most toxic thing you think you ate this week? Drop a comment, I'll be reading them. Sending you a big hug from our part of the world.